Wasn't it just like 2 weeks ago? Oh, Stealth 2, Rory throws TaylorMade under the bus and da 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 da. And you're like, good lord, people, just pump the brakes. Or, oh, does TaylorMade have a Stealth 2 problem? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, shut up, stop. What is happening, everybody? No putts given. How's everybody living? Tony Covey, Chris Nickel, Golf Spy T, Golf Spy C. We had 8 inches of snow last night, Tony. It's the end of March, and I do not appreciate it.
I think I'm in the clear here. I'm feeling really good about my chances.
Rare that upstate New York is this far ahead of the Colorado, but whatever.
We got dumped on about a week and a half ago, but we've been warm. It's been warm-ish, so just almost there.
Just delaying the inevitable. We'll see. We got topics, Tony. We're going to talk about Rory and his driver, because that is going to lead into a bunch of other things. Dean Snell sounded off a little bit in typical Dean Snell, entirely transparent, one of the most direct, easy guys to chat with in the industry around this stuff. He had some pointed thoughts on some of this ball stuff, and then I got a couple mailbag questions for you, Tony. So that's what we're going to get after today.
All right.
You got a new rug in your office, Tony?
Yeah.
Can you show it to the people? People want. Yes. There you go. What'd you kill? What is that? Or what was it?
Faux.
Was it a zebra?
It is faux white tiger, actually.
Okay.
I believe killing actual white tigers is frowned upon.
Depends who you ask, but
it's a ruggable. We're a big ruggable house.
Oh, big ruggable fans. All right.
Yeah. Maybe we should try and sign Ruggable as a sponsor.
Hey,
he's looking for indirect to the golf industry. Yeah,
Ruggable, if you're out there, talk to us.
We went with Ruggables because the thinking is when the dogs vomit on the rug, as is inevitable,
is their want to do.
Yeah, we can just toss it in the washing machine. Sounds like a great idea until you realize you've got this gigantic rug that is tucked under all of your furniture, and so you gotta basically rearrange the room just to get at it. And then anyway, so
the Tony problem.
Today on No Putts Given.
Throw up and rugs and vomit. But Rory, his driver, let's start. What did he do? And we'll get into the why stuff, because I think that's where stuff gets kind of interesting for the average everyday consumer. Because there's a couple things where I had to stop and go, this is very interesting to me. So let's start there. What did he do?
Yeah, so credit to Jonathan Wall over at golf.com for having the details, as he usually does. He is really good with this kind of stuff. So Rory, after, how many weeks just barely removed from I'm spraying the driver all over the place, can't control it, et cetera, decides to cut his driver down to 44 inches and swap out his Ventus Black for a Ventus TR. So that's your quick and dirty version. New shaft and shorter.
Okay, so he goes to a shorter shaft and a different shaft. And let's talk about the length thing first, because he went from 44.5 to 44. Now, just to start out, 44.5 is already, I want to say, short by industry standards, but not historically speaking. So
it's short by tour standards. I think these days it's short, definitely short by retail standards, where golf companies are pushing stated stock length to 45 3/4 in a lot of cases, and then in some of those cases, when you actually throw them on a ruler and measure them, they're 46. So it's a departure from the trend.
So how big of a difference? So he goes from 44.5 to 44. Way back in the day, 43 was a driver, especially with a steel shaft and whatever. And we've seen, because of composite shafts that are lighter and stronger.
Back in the days of Persimmon, when people worked the ball and played golf the right way and all this.
Angles. They hit all the right angles.
Definitely hit their angles.
Yep. Half an inch? How big of a deal is that? People are going, half an inch. Not, whatever.
So we actually, and we'll throw this link up somewhere, but we did an article with Ping several years ago of a driver fitting study. And one of the things I keep going back in there into that post for, I pull it from time to time, for whatever reason, unable to commit it to memory. But
That's fair.
So they have some kind of ballpark numbers. And so if you increase shaft length by 1 inch, you could expect 4 yards of carry.
Okay.
And again, you would also, with that, expect increased roll as well. So, 5, give or take 5, 6, maybe yards for every inch.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we can extrapolate. If we say a half an inch, that's 2 yards.
2 yards,
carry.
yeah, right.
And then the kind of other nugget in that is for each increase of shaft length by 1 inch, dispersion can be expected to increase as well by 10%. So your circle, all my shots are in this circle, and now I just added an inch to my driver to try and make it longer, and now my circle is 10. We're going to call that 10%. I don't know. We just
sure.
10% larger. So
when we looked at it though, too, most golfers were better off with a shorter club than what they were currently playing. Do you think that still holds true, or to what end? Because the thinking, right, and this is a part that makes sense to me, is like, hey, if you're hitting your driver perfectly and you're 100% happy, obviously don't change anything. But Rory was clearly searching in kind of in a variety of different places, and we'll come back to the shaft part because you really do have to see every club as a system. They all work together, all the different components and pieces. But by going shorter, Rory said it allowed him to keep the club kind of out in front of him more. It wouldn't get kind of stuck behind him where he was either going to block it or try to save it at the bottom and flip his hands and maybe kind of hit that pull hook. Would more people be better off, Tony, going with a shorter driver than they currently play?
I mean, simple answer is I think so. And I think if we were to survey some of the top fitters in the country and even into Canada, let's go talk to Ian, see what his numbers show. But I suspect that those guys aren't fitting many golfers in at 45.75. They're not stretching that 45.75 out to 46. I would guess 45-ish that might be the average range. It might be a little bit lower than that still.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, this is one of the earliest tests we did in mygolfspy, and this goes way back, probably 10 years at this point. We did quick test at the time, 6 testers, so small for us now, but a big test back then.
Sure.
And I want to say that 4 of the guys were definitively better with the shorter shaft. Some of them were actually longer with the shorter shaft. And there was really, one of them, if I recall, was kind of a maybe. And then the 6th guy who had, to me, what was the defining characteristic, and I can't prove, I have no additional insight as to whether or not this was the thing, but he had a really flat swing. And so maybe with a flat swing, I don't know, just legitimately a guess here, but it was kind of the one thing we could point to kind of maybe explain why he saw different results than everybody else. But yeah, definitely some benefit to the shorter shaft and some nuance there. You got to kind of get swing weights right. Head weight typically comes up. Sometimes the shaft can play a bit stiffer, depending on how it balances out with that additional head weight, that sort of thing. So it's not as simple as like, I'm just going to take a hacksaw to this thing. I'm not even going to take the grip off. I'll just play without the top half of the grip, whatever. There's some thought that has to go into it, but
no doubt. No, well, and I think consumers are a little bit, I don't want to say wary or scared, but you think, geez, why, we've been told or sold by companies like that this is a way that we've gotten some more swing speed, et cetera, and whatever. So I don't want to give that up. If I go shorter, if I cut it down, it's automatically, in my head, maybe a reduction in distance. But just the opposite can be true. If it can allow you to find center face contact more often, can't you more than make up any type of, I mean, I get the idea that, okay, a longer club all things being equal, the physics people and or whatever, you can swing it a little faster, which can translate to more ball speed, which can translate to more distance, particularly in home run derby, right? In a fitting bay. I get that. So how can a shorter club actually get me more distance in the real world? How does that
Well, you
actually
touched
happen?
on it, right? The longest club, unless you have a serious design flaw, but generally speaking, if your specs are in the realm of similar, the longest club is going to be the one you hit in the center most often.
Right.
And so if by shortening that shaft, we always talk about dispersion downrange, right? That's the 10%. But if you can take your face impact dispersion and go the other way, right, and move it towards center,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to see higher average distances. Because again, like the farther away from center you're going to lose ball speed. That is inevitable. I don't care what we talk about, more forgiving across more of the face. Yeah, it is. It's maybe you don't lose quite as much as you did 5 years ago or with the
But you
previous
still
generation.
lose.
You
Yeah.
lose. There's no, there's no, hey, if my, let's talk Rory, right? If my peak center face ball speed is around 190 and I crank it way out on the toe, and whatever the MOI of the driver happens to be or the face technology, you're still not going to touch 190 if you're Rory. And
Right.
for us, if you're a 150 guy, you're going to be sniffing in the 130s probably on that extreme
Yeah.
toe miss. And so if you can bring that dispersion, that impact dispersion down, you're going to see not only downrange dispersion go down as well, but your average ball speeds are going to be probably a little higher because you're getting more out of every swing.
Yeah. Well,
That
and then
makes
this,
sense.
yeah, I think it totally does. And it leads into the second part, which is, like I said, he went from a Fujikura Ventus Black, which we know is a very stiff profile. It's stiff throughout, right? Throughout the entire,
Relatively, yeah. It's not.
relatively stiff, but it's, I think Rory's using this word. This is not my word, but he called it boardy, which generally, maybe he couldn't feel certain things throughout the swing that he wanted to be able to feel. So he actually went from the black to the Ventus TR blue. How are those shafts different?
It's
Besides
kind of
the
an
color,
interesting one. So, Fujikura says the TR blue is kind of in between the original blue and the original black. It's probably still more towards blue. It's softer in the tips, softer in the midsection. I thought it was interesting. Rory mentioned this feeling like more stable in the handle, and I looked at Cool Club's S3 measurements. They have a, guessing most people listening to this aren't familiar with Cool Club's S3 system, but it is
I'm not familiar, Tony. I
a
don't know what is
it's a
it.
comprehensive shaft database that basically has shaft profile measurements, butt, midsection, tip, torque measurements, basically just about everything you could want
The
to know about
DNA of a shaft,
the
right? Like,
static DNA of a shaft.
yeah,
Absolutely. And so I took a quick look, and there's some spots where you can kind of, where I think handle stiffness gets overstated, but I think it's fair to say that TR blue may actually be a little stiffer in the handle than the original black. And so that's, Rory mentioned feeling more stable with that butt section. So it makes sense that that's where that comes from. And it's one of those things with a shaft. I touched on this on an article I wrote. I think it was an answer to an Ask My Golf Spy question not too long ago, but I have heard of a study at least where kind of compared the results to what somebody feels in terms of how the shaft feels. And there was a
right.
correlation between this one feels really good to me and the actual numbers on the other end of it, which we don't always see in our tests. Iron tests are definitely not putter tests, but there is something there that could suggest that, if a shaft is bending right, if the elements are coming together, if the profile's right, it's just going to feel better for you going into the ball. So maybe that's what it is. But it's interesting. It's always interesting when a tour player kind of makes a subtle shift like that.
Well, I think the two other interesting things to me that popped out was one, you're right in terms of changing the shaft component and that, and Rory said effectively too that he doesn't like to see a lot of loft on his driver at address, and so what that means, right? The lower loft generally means lower spin. Again, all things being equal, an easy way to add spin if you need to add spin is to just crank up the loft a little bit. But Roy's like, hey, I don't like to see a lot of loft at address, but knowing that he needed a little bit more spin than that loft would probably generate, that's where kind of maybe that softer midsection and softer tip section of the TR Blue got him into kind of more of that ideal spin trajectory window without having to increase the loft on his driver.
Yeah,
Again,
keep
that's
that.
way in the weeds, that's way nuanced and whatever, but it goes to that fitting component of why does this setup work for one player, not for another? Oh, geez, Rory plays TR Blue now. How many people? Oh, yeah, maybe I'll give that a try. Well, there's usually pretty specific reasons that these guys are trying something or switching.
And it shows that there's not one absolute way to solve a problem. So yeah, if Rory said, I would like a little bit more spin, easy solution, right? More loft, whether that's from swapping the head, moving to like a 10 and a half degree, or just doing something with the hosel, right? Adding a little more loft that way.
Mm-hmm.
That's an easy way to get more spin. But if you don't want to see that, and I'm not necessarily that way with a driver, but when we talk about higher lofted fairway woods, and hybrids too, that's where I start to see too much loft. That's me. Not so much with a driver, but I get it. So I understand kind of that thing of, this I don't want to see that much loft at address. So if you want to keep that appearance of loft, but you need more spin, easy way is to soften up that shaft a little bit, get a little more of that kicking up at impact, a little more dynamic loft as it's known.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that, the suggestion is a little higher launch, a little more spin.
And wasn't it just like 2 weeks ago? Oh, Stealth 2, Rory throws TaylorMade under the bus and da-da-da-da-da. And you're like, good Lord, people, just pump the brakes. Or, does TaylorMade have a Stealth 2 problem? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, shut up. Stop. They don't. It's a great... And now, like, I hope all those people come back and, you saw Rory hit, 824,000 drives over 350 or whatever this last week. Now, granted, a lot of those were, carry and then roll 70 yards. But he's sitting there cruising in the mid 180s for ball speed. Clearly was hitting driver with a tremendous amount of confidence. Clearly wanting to peak for that tournament down, the big tournament down in Georgia here in a couple weeks. And now we're all those people going, oh my God, Stealth 2 must be the best driver ever. Scheffler's playing crazy with it. Now Rory's getting it dialed in. It just shows you how fickle, right? People and
everything is day
like,
to day and week to week, man. Yeah,
like it just cracks me up, right?
And at the end of the day, right? Paradigm won again, so
right. And then
you can't just gloss over the fact that the driver has, I think, won everything or damn near. I'd like to think it's probably the players more than the clubs, but if you're looking to take credit for a hot start, my God.
Yeah, official water bottle of the PGA Tour, right, Tony? We gotta get to those at some. Oh yeah, you got one of those. Hey, stay hot right there. Stay hydrated, people. Stay hydrated. All right, Dean Snell. For those of you that don't know Dean Snell, we'll link the article as well. Dean is a longtime pioneer in the ball industry. His history goes back decades. Has worked with companies such as TaylorMade, Titleist, and now himself, or the eponymous name, Snell Golf. He's been involved in working with tour level designs from Pro V1 through a lot of stuff at Titleist, was he through Penta? I believe so, at TaylorMade, if I'm not mistaken.
Like Lethal. Even Lethal.
Oh, yeah. Lethal.
So precursors to the TP5. So certainly you cannot completely decouple Dean from the TP5, just as he is on the patent as a co-inventor. One of many, many, many co-inventors of the Pro V1. Point being, like,
he's been around, knows a thing or two.
He knows some golf ball stuff.
He knows golf ball stuff and
tour stuff and kind of that whole mindset and working with tour players. So
kind of the landscape stuff. And so we had a chance. Rick Young, fantastic, one of the few Canadians that we like. Not we like pretty much all the Canadians actually. Did a little digging, wrote an article, and Dean, as he typically is, very transparent, very forthright, and just kind of tells us how he sees it. What jumped out to you, Tony, about him and some of his thoughts around, call it the ball landscape. I know we're talking rollback, but it's really kind of golf ball landscape stuff more than anything.
Yeah, I think so much there. I mean, definitely worth a read, and kind of touched on many different aspects and other possible solutions, which we can touch on here. But I think his idea of 4 equal contributing factors to the current state of distance, I thought that was interesting. Just kind of mentioning the performance of Bellata back in the day, especially as it relates to spin and how much that aspect has changed. Because we always focus on, the new ball is so much faster. The new ball meaning solid core as of
the modern golf ball,
really.
kind of. Yeah.
And it's really, a lot of it has to do with spin, which is where I think we get into this whole, the architectural piece of it comes in. We're like, this is the right way to play the game. And I miss when they worked the ball and knew the right angles, and all of that stuff. This idea of, hey, this is what golf should look like, right? This is the right way to play golf. Damn the mathematics, that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, just really,
what were the 4 factors? Just really quickly, like he talked about, because that jumped out to me too. He talked about 4 equal factors.
Yeah, and I don't know if I agree with Dean that it's equal.
Right.
But yeah, I think so. He mentions the ball specifically, though, not faster. It's not that the ball is faster. It's lower spinning. It launches higher. And we see that it's kind of wild in our robot ball test. We have some balls that high speed off the driver are flirting with 2,000 RPM. I would imagine tour
which is really low spinning,
really low, and I think
low spinning.
Tour guys are probably 24 to 26, somewhere in that, and I think that's actually crept up a little bit in the last couple of years, as opposed to, as I mentioned again, 4,000 in the Bellata days. So
Bellata days, guys, their launch conditions were right in that plus or minus 4,000 range, right?
Yeah, but much lower, right? Different.
Yeah, I mean, it's coming off like
different trajectories. So
yeah,
and that kind of spills into a different part of the conversation of, hey, as we get into a rollback ball, would it mean that trajectories would fundamentally change? That's a whole other conversation. So he mentioned, so the ball, drivers specifically, higher CT, higher COR, whatever you want to say, and more forgiving. So kind of that expanded sweet spot that we touched on. That's interesting too, because again, that limit has been set for a while. But there's more wiggle room in that than there is with the golf ball. One we talked about before, kind of that gray area between COR and kind of the new standard of CT, and how you can keep CTs under the limit and push the COR up beyond the old limit. And the other thing to keep in mind with drivers is there are no regulations that govern aerodynamics. And so,
only that it's like plane in shape, right? Like,
and as we've seen, like, this has become a major talking point. It is inarguable that we are seeing more aerodynamic shapes now. And as tour head speed creeps up because of number 4 on this list, which we'll get to, you're getting more of that realized benefit from improved aerodynamics. So things that the USGA doesn't really govern as it relates to driver design are contributing to distance in one way or another. So
we had the ball itself, and again, not that the ball is any faster. We said, these things have been in place since 2004.
Right,
so it's not like the ball's faster 19 years later. Okay. You have the driver design itself in terms of core, CT, the 460cc size limit allows engineers, greater volume to mess with things like forgiveness, MOI, etc. His third point was
agronomy, and this is one we've pounded this idea of just grow the grass, and people get pushed back, or if we say grow the rough. And again, you have to do this strategically. Narrow fairways aren't necessarily the right answer, because that actually still benefits longer guys almost disproportionately. If everybody's in the rough, right, then the longer guy still wins. And I kind of feel like the longer guy should win, at least
why
for
should
that
the fastest
discipline.
Guy win the race? Yeah.
Right. But it's interesting because people hear us say grow the grass or grow the rough. I think they assume it's like, all right, we're going to grow the grass to 8 inches tall and the rough is just going to be weeds and briar patches and things like this. And my whole argument is like, if you are one of these guys, especially the architecture guys who are big on the course should be played the way the architect intended. And so you want, I want to see guys hunting angles, and I want to see them shape the ball. And
Scott Fawcett is going to shoot something.
Right, like all of the stuff that makes Scott Fawcett just walk over to a closet and just repeatedly slam his head in the door. All of the stuff that kind of that architectural, I'd say purist, whatever, kind of, again, the way it should be played, architect intended, whatever your phrase is. Well, then why don't we put the grass back to what the architect intended? Like, you can't say we're going to change. We want to do all these other things that the architect intended, but we're not gonna move the grass to what it was, because that's overlooked. It's not like we're saying it's not really grow the grass in terms of, hey, let's do something radically different than it's ever been done. I'm saying
just don't cut it.
Put the grass back to where it was then. If we say, hey, this is what we want golf to look like, then the height of the grass should match that throughout the course. And there's no denying that grass is a lot shorter than what it used to be. It is absolutely contributing to distance. And yes, grass doesn't solve a carry problem, unless you're like, also, we're going to grow the trees. And we're gonna
right.
Block,
no, it doesn't.
We're going to block your first drive. That's how we're going to solve this problem. We're going to make sure you hit a tree every time.
Right.
But it does reduce roll. So it's, could be part of a solution rather than, we're just going to steal distance from everybody. Hard stop.
Yeah, it could also. The two other things I think that are interesting there is, and I don't even know what these numbers are, but when Oakmont was created, what was the length of the fairway cut at that point in time? I don't know what it was, but probably longer than it is now. Safe to say, right?
What was? I mean, it's not related to distance necessarily, but what were the sand conditions in the bunkers?
Right.
We've changed a lot of things over the years, and now we're just going to go. Yeah, we've changed all this, and now we're just going to take the golf ball and roll.
But I do know if you increase the height of the fairway cut by whatever it is, let's say half an inch or 3/4 or whatever that number is, at some point in time you start introducing the need for a player to read a lie in the fairway. Like, hey, is this going to jump? Like when it's just sitting on top of a felt pool table, you don't need to read any kind of lie. Like, it's going to do exactly what you think it's going to do if you hit it correctly. But now what if it's sitting up a little? Or what if it's just sitting down? Like, it introduces maybe that element. And then you hit it on a green where it's rolling 11.5, 12, 13. When that course was created, it was rolling 6.
The architect did
7,
not intend those greens
8.
to stink at 13. He did not. So in most cases. And the other thing, you mentioned the longer fairways. Now, if you're trying to reduce distance, we talked about reducing roll, but now I'm in a fairway where I'm not going to be able to pinch the ball as much. So maybe I need a golf ball that spins more on my approach shot. Well, you can get some separation. That typically means you're going to have to play a driver that spins a little more as well, a ball that spins more off your driver, and that's going to reduce distance a little bit. So there are ways to tackle it, but again, if your argument is, there's a right way to play golf and that involves shaping shots and playing as the architect intended, well, then I don't know how you make that you take that position and go, but I'm going to exclude the grass from any conversations around what the architect may or may not have intended.
Right. Because point in fact, grass is kind of a big part of a golf course, generally speaking. Most golf courses I've been to. Not the fescue.
I've played some that have very little.
I was going to say, not the fescue. If you really want to talk about growing the rough, give them McGregor fescue and, could get weird. What was the fourth one?
The fourth one was, to me, I think, like I said, I don't agree with Dean's split. If it's 25, 25, 25, 25, I would say, 50 plus at this point of the equation is the player. So Dean mentions biomechanics, strength, and fitness. I think we know this. I mean, you want to blame somebody for distance. I said, you saw the graphic I put up last week.
It's a T-shirt. That needs to be another.
Clearly explain the balls when the ball contributed to a distance increase. If you want to go, and that was essentially a 2 to 3 year period where the solid core came out, and then there was the adoption period, and then boom, like fully realized, because everybody on tour realized if they weren't playing a solid core ball, they weren't going to win.
Yeah.
So if you want to, I mean, Christ, if you want to circle something on a chart and place blame, I think Sasha McKenzie can take a little heat for swing speed increases.
This
I mean,
is on you, Sasho.
He's just one of them, but I mean, like, yeah, the stack system. Like, I looked at Fitzpatrick is double-digit yards longer than he was 2 years ago. So, I mean, it's clear, and he credits it to the stack.
Yeah, disproportionately. So, yeah, he works out, does other stuff, whatever. But
he's obviously right. There's contributing factors, but it's like,
right.
Again, we've used it. We've gotten faster from doing that without working out.
100% can say I've done that and not worked out.
And so whether it's that super speed ripstick, whatever it is, I mean, these are tools now that are available to everybody. There's better understanding of the golf swing, the biomechanics piece. I don't know, maybe you throw launch monitors in here, and the fact that when you go back, like, there was a point in time where TrackMan was not a thing. Right. Nobody had launch monitors. The range was not full of TrackMan's foresights, and sometimes foresights in front of TrackMan's with flight scopes nearby. Like, that's all relatively new. And this idea of optimizing the equipment and understanding how to tune individual players to get the absolute most, that is relatively new to the game. It feels like it's been around forever, but it really is within the last decade.
Well, definitely new to the masses. There's player adoption. Things are expensive. They roll down, and now pretty much any demo day or fitting experience that you would go to, whether it's at a third-party location or maybe at your home club or someplace or whatever, it's pretty rare now that you're not going to see GC Quad, TrackMan, some type of device, because people want their numbers, just like you do in other elements, right? Where, I mean, at some point in time, people, didn't assess a house and go, I think that's 400,000. What do you want to pay for it? Well, now you have all this data where people come in and assess your house, like, down to the dollar. Okay. So can you turn back the clock on the player, Tony? You had a great BMI idea, I think. I'm very interested in this one.
Yeah, maybe there needs to be, as there is like a minimum diameter requirement for a golf ball, maybe there needs to be a minimum BMI. And if you are too lean, if you are too fit, pound donuts on that tee box until you qualify.
Yep, you got the Flat Belly Tour, back of the bus, Gary Woodland, back of the bus, Scott Stallings, back of the bus, Billy Horschel. You guys don't quite, where's my
Rory,
Tim Herron at?
Get Rory.
Rory, get out. Give me my Tim Herons. Give me my, Shane Lowry's.
John Daly.
Give me my people that, we're joking.
Yeah, so.
But still.
Yeah, so to me, call it whatever you want. The ball is not the problem. The ball is clearly not the problem. The USGA knows the ball is not the root of everything. It's the one thing that they can easily control. It is the one piece of equipment they can touch that presumably future-proof to a degree. But ultimately, if I'm summing up, and I'm not one who believes there's a distance problem, I'm like, look, if the courses can't adapt, build a new arena, right? That's something Dean said. The players are the product, the courses are the arenas. And if we need new arenas, I'm fine with that. I think it's overstated. Lou Stagner posted a series of questions for USGA president.
Very pointed questions, by the way.
I don't know if Mike's gotten back to him yet, but yeah, so it's a whole lot of assumptions that, land mass has to increase exponentially because swing speed is going to increase exponentially. And I don't believe either one of those things to be true. But ultimately, if you're going to point to a single thing and go, this is the problem, this is why the ball is going too far, or however you want to phrase it, it's knowledge. This is fundamentally a knowledge problem. We got better, we got smarter about the athletics of the golf swing, right? The biomechanics. We got smarter about optimizing equipment with launch monitors and research done by OEMs, and just every step of the way, time after time, it's like, hey, we got smarter here. We learned
optimizing aerodynamics of ball flight.
Right. We're not hunting angles. Angles schmangles, it turns out, like you got your little window, whatever you want to call it, and you just need to, play the probabilities, and that is that. And so, that's these are stuff that, maybe go beyond what the architect intended, but the architect didn't understand the math of the game. and how it would eventually be played once people got wise to
Right.
to how everything actually works. So I don't know.
This one will generate some comments, no
Mhm.
doubt, but it'll be good because it is that notice and comment period, and this is the time we should be having these dialogues and discussions and asking things and exploring. It's going to be a hot topic from really now through probably the end of the comment period for sure in
Yeah,
August, and then
it's not going to be a 5-minute thing and then everybody forgets about it. This is
no, because new stuff will pop up or questions or things like that. We're going to finish up with some questions, Tony. What time is
Mailbag!
it? Mailbag! I have 3 ready. We'll see how long the first one takes. Question number 1. You a big TLC fan, Tony?
I wouldn't say big.
Do you remember one of their best songs? Probably your favorite song by TLC? I believe the name was Creep.
Okay, I'm a creep.
Yeah, I think it was. Not the Stone Temple Pilots version. I know someone out there's thinking that, but you had an interesting post that I saw, and it made me think. People talking about, oh, my driver's 8 years old, 10 years old, da 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 da. But I try some of this new stuff, and my ball speeds are exactly the same. Or my old driver really keeps up with this new driver, and it may be people just trying to justify not buying a new driver, whatever it is. But you offered a plausible explanation as to why that person might actually be right.
It's so funny because we get this all the time. Like, I've got my driver 10 years old, 12 years old, some case 15 years old, and nothing I've tried is as fast as my driver. And it's weird. Like, it seems like more often than not, it's a Cleveland. It's like either a Cleveland launcher or a high bore. It's something, but like if you've had a driver for 12 years and you've used that, if you play a lot of golf and you've used that season after season after season, chances are that driver is going to be a lot faster, or by some measure faster than it was when you bought it. So it is at least plausible that some of these drivers that people love have crept beyond the limit and have continued to get faster.
Because the face does break down over time. We talked about this in the previous episode, I think, and just for people, the face does lose some resiliency, and so it actually gets hotter over
The
time.
spring-like effect increases.
Yeah. So this idea of breaking a driver in, if you will, is actually kind of a real thing. It's not 100% static. So could that be a reason?
Yeah, we've seen too. Titleist with ATI, Mizuno with their Beta Titanium, PXG. We just talked about it in that post. You're seeing companies use more resilient materials now. And so part of that is we're going to reduce CT creep generally. We're not going to get as fast over time. Part of that is, the material is easier to manufacture to precise tolerances. And so when we look at the distribution of parts, we don't have a lot of slow ones and a lot of fast ones. Everyone is pretty close to where it's supposed to be. And the other piece of it is, and this is where things could go a little south with these ones that have been gotten fast over the years, is the materials back then, they were more prone to deformation. So, for a while, I won't mention names, but there was a brand that's notorious for getting flat spots, in the bulge and roll, where from repeated use, it just kind of flattens that curvature out of the face. So, that is no good. So you're trading speed for some other potential downsides there. But yeah, they get faster.
So it could be. Just an interesting one. Last question. Tony, you get to add a 15th club to your bag this year. What club are you adding to your assortment? Now, it can be one that you carry with you all the time, or just like, hey, you know what? I want to create a larger quiver, more arrows in my quiver, and so I want to have another club to pull out. Maybe it's for a specific tournament, maybe it's for a specific situation or shot or weather condition. But if you could add one additional club to the bag, Tony, what's it going to be?
Well, I'd have to think it through, because something like a 64-degree wedge can be fun. On rare occasions, it's actually useful. On many occasions, it's just a really, really bad idea. So maybe that. for weather conditions, and that was, I think maybe something like a utility iron is an alternative to the 7 wood on windy days. But
like that one.
yeah, and keep one of those in the trunk. Likewise, as much as I love my tee grind, if the ground's wet, it goes in the trunk, and something with more bounce comes out. There is a limit to that, but I think maybe because I'm being nostalgic, and so TaylorMade has a new mini driver coming.
That's kind of where
burner.
Not a lot of vowels involved.
No vowels, and so I was like, I haven't used it in a while, but I have TaylorMade's SLDR mini driver, and I mean, that thing was such a beast, and you can hit it. You lose a little off the tee, but you gain stuff off the fairway. I mean, for your reference, that nobody else will get, but
perfect.
Number 6 at McGregor.
Yep.
I made it to the green with a SLDR mini driver from the rough on the bottom left side of the hill. So just absolutely
that's crazy,
massive. And again, it was one swing,
home run derby.
My new average.
Your new average with your 3 wood is 284.
I now average 284 off the deck with a mini driver because it happened one time.
Yep.
When everything came together. Yeah, so I think the mini driver would be the answer.
That was going to be my answer.
For no other reason, too. Like I already have a driver, a 3 wood, a 5 wood, a 7 wood in the bag, plus a putter. So I really need a way to get another head cover or 2 in the bag without going to the irons.
Without going to the 6 grid, 7 grid, 8 grid.
Well, yeah, I can't put iron covers on, but I will. Yeah, I will.
You will gladly go that route.
Embrace all the head covers on metal woods. For sure. There you go. Mini driver.
Mini driver. That was my answer too. It's a fun, again, as a rotational thing, especially if you can figure out how to hit it off the deck a little bit. That thing can be an absolute monster. In some ways, a little bit of a cheat code, the same way that the 7 wood's a cheat code for certain things. I think the mini driver is a cheat code for certain situations. You might find that you end up liking it and even using it more than maybe you thought, especially if you carry like a higher lofted 17, 18 degree kind of 3/4, 5 wood.
I mean, it's definitely not as easy to hit off a fairway as some of these like low profile, almost flat fairway woods that seem to align beautifully with the ball, but you can do it. I have done it. It is it's playable, so it's an option. It's an option. It's like having a really strong 3 wood in the bag. I think I have the 12 degree model, and so
yeah.
So that's where I'd go.
Let's get it. I can't wait. I'd love to hear what other people would say. What are you going to put in your bag if you could add
15th club? What is
your
it?
15th club? As always, ball questions, things, just post them. Let us know what you think, people. And as per usual, find us, follow us out on the interwebs, the social media places, Golf Spy T, Golf Spy C. We're going to be, we'll be back in a week, maybe.
I think we're here next week, and then off the following week.
So one more episode, then a little hiatus, and then we'll rock and roll.
And that episode would probably, here's your teaser. And I'm just gonna spell it. Like I can't give you the details right now, but no. 2 new Snell golf balls coming. See you next Monday. Dropping next Monday. There you go.
We out.